It's officially the 40th anniversary of the Legend of Zelda series, and that is so fantastic in many different ways. We had so many great games over the years, but what better way to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Legend of Zelda but talking about the future of the series? Now, the next Legend of Zelda game, there's definitely been a lot of leaks and rumors pointing towards a futuristic sort of portal split dimensions kind of game, which is really cool. But my big question is, how long will this last? So, let's talk all about The Legend of Zelda. Let's get straight into it. Now for starters, the next Legend of Zelda game, there are so many different ways that Nintendo can take this into consideration. We got the toon cartoony art style, kind of like the Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Then you have the 3D cartoony art style like the Legend of Zelda Link Between Worlds. You have other art style like the painting sort of art style like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And you have an ultra realistic art style that would be really cool. Now, I honestly think that if Nintendo wanted to fully take advantage of the Nintendo Switch 2, it would probably be something like semi-realistic, so it'd be something mixed with Breath of the Wild, and then an Ocarina of Time game that looks something like this, but I feel like that would be the next Legend of Zelda game. The story would probably take place as a split reality mixed dimensions game, which would be really cool and would allow Nintendo to elaborate on the subject in so many different ways. But then you also have to take into account that maybe this game is going to have many different things to coordinate the story. So what I mean by this is we're probably going to be seeing Hyrule Warriors. Now Hyrule Warriors is honestly a fantastic game. What they did with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom really did it pretty nicely. Breath of the Wild, I honestly wish it was sort of canon, but I honestly still consider it canon even though it was in the past and then it was a split timeline instead of the main timeline. So overall, this was technically the split dimension game that we are supposedly going to be getting. But overall, I think that that game really played off the story, and then you're jumping into Breath of the Wild, not really expecting, not really know how the story's gonna go, and then boom, all of a sudden this thing just hits you with a big shock, if you know what I mean. But then going over to Tears of the Kingdom, which was another couple of years later, it was still technically on the same Hyrule, but just a different game with Sky Islands, and then also you had the depths. And then moving over to Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, it kind of elaborated on that idea, but this time it was connected directly to the story, which, you know, if the future of the Legend of Zelda game is going to take inspiration on what they did here, I believe that the next Hyrule could maybe last up to 8 to 10 years like the current Hyrule. Now, I don't know if Nintendo is necessarily going to release all of these games or it's just going to be like the 1 to 2 games that are going to be released on that Hyrule. But since the development time and the cycle are essentially longer nowadays, that could be part of the reason. But let's just say, let's go into the idea that the next Legend of Zelda game is going to be this sort of time-based game that you can go through split realities, and maybe you will be able to merge and do something like Wind Waker, and then you're playing a little part of Wind Waker, you find the Triforce, and all of a sudden you split back into a different art style. That definitely would be really interesting, kind of like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. If you remember that game, you were able to split different pocket dimensions and go into that, which was really interesting. So if the next Legend of Zelda game is something like that, that would be really cool. But I don't know if this Nintendo would play into this idea. Usually when you take the Legend of Zelda, it pretty much uses and shows the full power of that current system. If you look back at Breath of the Wild, that pretty much used the full power of the Nintendo Switch, or should we say even the Wii U. Now, I feel like Nintendo did something kind of funny, kind of tricky when it came to the Wii U to make you want to buy the Nintendo Switch 2, but hey, whatever the case may be, Nintendo does Nintendo things. So, I honestly think that the next Legend of Zelda game might actually look something like this, something very similar to this, and I think it's definitely going to last long as probably Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, just for that part. So overall, I think it's definitely going to be a really great and creative game. There's going to be so much brand new enemies, new ways to play, and honestly, I think Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment showed off things that we could definitely see inside the next Legend of Zelda game. Like, you had certain missions that you were able to fly around as like Construct Link, and then yeah, the Korok, which the Korok, let's just say, didn't have much part into the story, but still really, really cool. So I think that that would be really interesting to be a part of the next Legend of Zelda game. Maybe one temple is going to be directly in the sky, so you have to find a way to go in the sky. I'm not saying that the next Legend of Zelda game is going to be forced to be in the sky and in the ground, because every single Legend of Zelda game is different. Some of them you are able to sail across the 7 seas. Others you are exploring Hyrule, but in many different ways. And others, you can go pretty much anywhere you want. So honestly, the next Legend of Zelda game, it's not hard to say that it's probably going to be an open world game. Now, when I speak about the next Legend of Zelda game, I don't mean a remaster or remake, because it seems like right now we're probably going to be seeing something like Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, maybe even that 4K Ocarina of Time remake remaster. But overall, all these games are really cool, but the next mainline Legend of Zelda is most likely going to be some sort of open world game that you could go anywhere you want. You could probably go split realities, and it's going to look really good, really good. And I'm going to say it, it's definitely going to last up to 8 years inside that new map. So we're probably going to get the main game, the main base Legend of Zelda game, and then some Hyrule Warriors game. Because honestly, those two, the combo works really well. So then the developers don't necessarily have to kind of squeeze in all that extra story and lore if they want to make the game pretty much simple, that instead of watching a cutscene every so often, well then you can watch a couple cutscenes that really give you that driven point into the game, and then they can put all the rest of the story and the ideas that they wanted to in the Hyrule Warriors game, because that game, well, it doesn't really cut you off the gameplay. It's pretty much just like, okay, so I play the game either to listen to the story, or I play the game because I'm a big Hyrule Warriors fan. Or you might be both, but overall I think that that's pretty much how we see the Hyrule Warriors game. I think that these two games are combined some way. So the next Legend of Zelda, let's just say that it starts off in 2027 or even 2028 or something like that. And then the next couple of years, maybe 2032, we get a Hyrule Warriors game that blends up and refreshes the story. And maybe if it is a split dimension game, maybe we are going to be seeing the next Legend of Zelda game, or a spin-off that could be correlated into that same island. That could bring a lot of different things to the table. Like, it could bring things like an open mixed reality that you can create your own dungeons, like a 3D maker for like Legend of Zelda. We did get something like that for Link's Awakening, but not necessarily in the 3D Legend of Zelda environment. So overall, I think that that would be really cool. But what are your thoughts on the next Legend of Zelda game? Do you think it's going to be something like this, or do you think I'm completely wrong? It's completely bogus. No, Legend of Zelda, it's going to stay to a Toon Link art style. We're going to be seeing the Legend of Zelda Wind Waker 2. Honestly, if we see Wind Waker 2, I would be pretty happy with that decision, because I think Wind Waker, there definitely was so much that they could have done. Like, you can go essentially anywhere you want, but it's more like an ocean vibe themed exploration game. But what if inside this mixed reality, mixed dimension game, you are able to go to the land of Hyrule? You are able to go to the land of Hyrule that was sunken beneath the ground. So beneath the surface, in Wind Waker, once you go to the kingdom, there is sort of like an island or like a world that you are able to go. It's essentially old Hyrule. What if you're able to go there inside the split dimension? What if that was the whole purpose? Maybe Nintendo was like, you know what, Wind Waker, it's good, but we can definitely add something later. So you expand on that idea, and you're able to go past the boundaries that would otherwise be inaccessible. So what I'm saying is, the next Legend of Zelda, what if it is that? You go into the portal, and then you enter up into the Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, and there you go, you are on that island. There's going to be a dungeon for you to fight and conquer, and there you go, you get a special item, and there you go, you go over to the next one, you return to the main island that looks like that, and then all of a sudden, you go straight over to something like Ocarina of Time, a place that was previously inaccessible, but then you're going over there, you're having a great time. Same thing goes with Breath of the Wild. If you remember, in Breath of the Wild, there was certain little islands that looked like you were able to go. Turns out you weren't able to go, so it really left me confused and always wanting to go, exploring, expecting maybe could I go there at some point. But honestly, I think that that's exactly what it's going to be. The game is going to last up to like probably 10 years, but it's going to have split offs that these games are going to take place in the same sort of world, but in mixed dimensions or a mixed timeline or something like that. I think that that would be really cool. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a fantastic day and see you in the next one.